Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be tackling self-discipline,
Oh,
but with a twist.
Yeah.
We're drawing wisdom from a piece written entirely in Hindi.
okay.
I'm really excited to see what kind of unique perspective we can uncover from this source.
Well, it's amazing how a different language can shed new light on concepts that we think we're familiar with.
Right?
There's all these layers of meaning embedded in there.
Exactly.
Just culturally that we wouldn't grasp otherwise.
Yeah, and this source dives right in
Okay.
with a very potent statement
Okay.
about the two types of pain we inevitably face in life. It says, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. It's not pulling any punches, is it?
No, it's not.
What are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, it immediately sets a high stakes tone.
Right.
This source is not shying away from the reality that there is no escaping struggle. It's about consciously choosing
Yeah.
which path we're willing to endure.
Yeah. And it implies that inaction isn't the easier option.
Right.
Right. It has its own consequences.
Precisely, the source seems to be arguing that avoiding the pain of discipline often leads to a much deeper,
Yeah.
more lingering pain of regret
Right.
down the road.
So it's setting the stage for us to examine how making disciplined choices,
Okay.
even if they're uncomfortable in the moment, can ultimately lead to greater fulfillment and fewer regrets later on.
That's a great observation, and it leads us to another intriguing point this source makes.
Okay.
The comparison of discipline to a double-edged sword.
Okay.
Now, how can something we typically view as positive
Right.
also have a potentially negative side?
I'm curious to hear how the source fleshes that out.
Yeah,
Does it actually give any specific examples of how discipline can be detrimental?
it does.
Okay.
And it's not just about the obvious examples like overtraining or becoming a workaholic.
Right.
The source delves into more subtle ways discipline can backfire
Okay.
if we're not wielding it wisely. For instance, it talks about how rigidly adhering to a routine can lead to a lack of spontaneity and adaptability in life.
That's interesting.
It even uses the example of someone who's disciplined about eating healthy,
Okay.
but becomes so obsessed with it
Ah.
that they isolate themselves socially and miss out on life's simple pleasures.
Wow, that's a really interesting nuance.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that discipline, like any tool, can be misused.
Yeah.
It's not about blindly adhering to rules. It's about understanding the principles behind them
Right.
and applying them in a way that supports our overall well-being.
Exactly. And this leads us to what I find most compelling about this source's perspective.
Okay.
Its emphasis on the four intelligences and
Okay.
how they relate to both discipline and regret.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
You're referring to the body, mind, emotions, and soul, right?
Yes. The source argues that neglecting any one of these intelligences sets the stage for a specific type of regret later in life. It's like each of these aspects of ourselves has its own language of pain. And if we don't listen, we'll eventually face the consequences.
So it's not just about being disciplined in a general sense. It's about being disciplined in a way that nourishes all aspects of our being.
Precisely. The source contends that true fulfillment comes from achieving balance across these four intelligences.
Okay. I'm really curious to dive deeper into that.
Okay.
Let's start with the body.
Okay.
How does this source connect physical discipline to the idea of regret?
Well, it points out that our bodies have very clear ways of communicating their needs through sensations like hunger, fatigue, and pain.
Okay.
It argues that if we consistently ignore these signals,
Right.
we're essentially setting ourselves up for regret down the line.
You mean in terms of potential health issues or simply not having the energy and vitality
Yeah.
to fully experience life?
Both the source uses a compelling analogy of a musical instrument.
Okay.
If we don't take care of our bodies,
Okay.
if we don't tune them, clean them, and use them properly, they won't be able to produce beautiful music.
That's a great visual.
Yeah.
So physical discipline in this context is about listening to our bodies and making choices that allow them to function optimally.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
where we're challenging ourselves without pushing ourselves to the point of breakdown.
And this all ties back to the initial statement about choosing our pain.
Right.
We can choose the discomfort of prioritizing exercise and healthy eating,
Right.
or we can face the potential pain of neglecting our health and feeling the consequences later on.
You're getting right to the heart of it.
Okay.
The source is essentially saying that we can't escape the pain of discipline altogether. It's woven into the fabric of life, but we can choose
Yeah.
the type of discipline we embrace and the type of pain we're willing to endure.
Okay. That's a powerful takeaway.
Yeah.
We've covered the pain of discipline versus the pain of regret,
Right.
and delved into how the source uses the body as an example of this choice.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface. Next, let's explore how this source connects the mind
Okay.
to this concept of discipline and regret.
I'm ready. Let's dive into the mental realm and see what insights we can uncover there.
All right, let's go. Welcome back. I'm eager to delve deeper into how this Hindi source connects the mind to the concept of discipline and regret.
Okay.
It offers some truly thought-provoking insights.
I'm all ears. We've talked about the body,
Yeah,
but the mind is equally fascinating,
Yeah.
especially in this age of constant information overload.
absolutely. The source acknowledges that our minds are constantly bombarded with stimuli, making focus and clarity increasingly challenging.
Yeah, it's true.
It even compares the undisciplined mind to a monkey,
Okay.
swinging wildly from branch to branch, never settling in one place long enough to grasp anything truly meaningful.
So mental discipline in this context is about taming that monkey mind,
Yeah.
bringing it under control so we can direct our attention where we want it to go.
Exactly. It's about cultivating the ability to focus, to concentrate, and to resist distractions. The source highlights the pain of regret we might experience if we don't develop this mental discipline.
So are we talking about the regret of missed opportunities?
Yeah.
Like not being able to fully engage in a conversation or learn something new because our mind is scattered?
That's part of it, but the source goes even deeper.
Okay.
It suggests that a lack of mental discipline can lead to a deeper sense of dissatisfaction with life.
Okay.
We might feel like we're constantly chasing after fleeting thoughts, never truly present in the moment,
Right.
and ultimately never truly connecting with ourselves or the world around us.
Wow, that's profound. It makes me think about how often I get caught up in mental chatter,
Yeah,
replaying past events, or worrying about the future and completely miss out on what's happening right now.
and that's precisely the point the source is making.
Yeah.
It's urging us to choose the pain of cultivating mental discipline.
Okay.
The effort it takes to practice mindfulness, to set boundaries around technology, to create space for quiet contemplation, rather than face the regret of a life lived in a state of mental chaos.
Okay, that's a really compelling argument for prioritizing mental discipline.
Yeah.
It's not just about productivity or efficiency.
Right.
It's about cultivating a deeper sense of peace and presence in our lives.
You've hit the nail on the head. And this leads us to the next intelligence the source explores,
Okay.
the realm of emotions. How do we apply discipline to our feelings?
Yeah.
And what kind of regret might we experience if we neglect this area?
This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Emotions can feel so unpredictable and powerful.
Right.
How can we possibly impose discipline on something that seems so fluid and elusive?
That's a great question. And the source acknowledges the unique challenges of emotional discipline.
Okay.
It emphasizes that it's not about suppressing or denying our feelings.
Yeah.
In fact, it cautions against that approach, suggesting it can lead to even greater inner turmoil.
So it's not about becoming an emotionless robot.
Definitely not. The source beautifully describes emotional discipline as the ability to befriend our emotions. It's about developing self-awareness, recognizing what we're feeling in the moment, and learning to respond to those feelings in a skillful way, rather than being swept away by them.
So it's more about managing our emotional responses rather than controlling the emotions themselves.
Exactly. It's about cultivating the space between a stimulus and our reaction, so we can choose how we want to respond, rather than simply reacting impulsively.
This reminds me of the concept of emotional intelligence,
Right.
the ability to understand and manage your own emotions as well as the emotions of others.
You've made a great connection. And the source suggests that neglecting this aspect of our intelligence can lead to a particular kind of regret.
Okay.
The regret of broken relationships, missed connections, and decisions made in the heat of the moment
Right.
that we later come to regret.
So emotional discipline in this context is about safeguarding our relationships
Yeah.
and ensuring that our actions are aligned with our values,
Yes.
even when we're feeling intense emotions.
Yes. It's about choosing the pain of sitting with uncomfortable feelings, learning to communicate our needs effectively, and developing healthy coping mechanisms rather than facing the pain of hurting ourselves or others through impulsive reactions.
This is really resonating with me. I can think of countless times when I've said or done something in the heat of anger or frustration that I later regretted.
Yeah.
Learning to pause and respond more skillfully would
Yeah.
definitely save me a lot of heartache down the road.
And that's the empowering message the source is conveying. It's suggesting that we have more agency over our emotions than we might realize. It's not easy. It takes practice and commitment.
Right.
But cultivating emotional discipline can profoundly impact the quality of our relationships and our overall experience of life.
This has been so insightful. We've explored how the source connects physical and mental discipline to the idea of regret.
Right.
And now we've delved into the nuanced realm of emotions.
And we have one more fascinating area to explore.
Yeah.
The intelligence of the soul. This is where things get really interesting.
I'm ready to dive into the soul.
Yeah.
What kind of discipline does this source suggest we need to cultivate in this realm?
Okay.
And what kind of regret are we trying to avoid?
Well, the source uses the word soul in a very broad sense.
Okay.
It's not necessarily tied to any specific religious belief system.
Right.
Instead, it's referring to that deeper part of ourselves that yearns for meaning, purpose, and connection to something greater than ourselves.
Oh, okay. So it's about that innate human desire to feel like our lives have significance
Yeah.
beyond just our day-to-day experiences.
Exactly. And the source argues that discipline plays a crucial role in nurturing this aspect of our being.
I'm curious to hear how it frames that. What does discipline look like in the realm of the soul?
Well, it suggests that a lack of discipline in this area
Okay.
can manifest in a feeling of emptiness, a sense that something is missing, even if we've achieved success in other areas of our lives.
Right.
We might experience a nagging sense of regret for not pursuing our passions, for not making a difference in the world,
Yeah.
for not living a life that feels truly authentic and aligned with our values.
So the pain of discipline in this context
Yeah.
might involve the discomfort of stepping outside our comfort zones, taking risks, and pursuing activities that nourish our souls, even if they don't necessarily lead to external rewards or recognition.
You're getting it.
Yeah.
It might mean choosing to spend time in nature, engaging in creative pursuits, volunteering in our communities,
Right.
or exploring spiritual practices, even if those choices feel inconvenient or unconventional.
It's about prioritizing those activities that light us up from the inside out,
Yes,
even if they don't necessarily fit into the mold of what society deems successful or productive.
precisely.
Yeah.
And the source suggests that choosing this path of discipline,
Yeah.
even when it's challenging, can lead to a profound sense of peace and fulfillment that surpasses any material achievement or external validation.
This has been such an illuminating discussion. We have explored how this source views discipline as a holistic practice that encompasses the body, mind, emotions, and soul.
It's a powerful framework for understanding how our choices today shape the regrets we might experience tomorrow.
And it's incredibly empowering to realize that we have the agency to choose the type of pain we're willing to endure
Right.
and the type of life we want to create. This deep dive into self-discipline through this Hindi source has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
You know, we've explored the interconnectedness of like the body, mind, emotions, and soul,
Right.
and how nurturing each through discipline can really contribute to a life free of regret.
It's been fascinating to uncover this unique perspective this source offers. You know, it's not just about willpower or achieving goals.
Right.
It's about aligning our actions with our deepest values and aspirations across all facets of our being.
And it's a continuous journey, right?
Absolutely.
The source doesn't shy away from the reality that there will be challenges along the way.
No, it doesn't.
It even specifically says, maybe you'll feel like you're not strong enough, or maybe you won't have the energy. It's so relatable.
Yeah.
Life throws curveballs, our energy fluctuates, and self-doubt creeps in.
Right.
How does the source suggest we navigate these inevitable dips in the road?
Well, it emphasizes the importance of self-compassion.
Okay.
It reminds us that we're human, not machines, you know? It's okay to have off days, to experience setbacks, and to acknowledge our limitations.
So it's not about beating ourselves up
No.
when we fall short of our own expectations.
Not at all. The source encourages us to view those moments as opportunities for learning and growth,
Okay.
rather than failures.
Feel like how
It suggests we ask ourselves, what can I learn from this experience? How can I adjust my approach?
Okay.
What support do I need to get back on track?
It's a much more supportive and empowering approach than simply labeling ourselves as failures and giving up.
Exactly. True discipline isn't about achieving perfection. It's about cultivating the resilience to keep going even when things get tough. It's about choosing to get back up, dance ourselves off, and recommit to our journey, even if it means taking a detour or adjusting our pace.
That's where the real strength lies, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about avoiding setbacks altogether.
Right.
It's about how we choose to respond to them.
Precisely. The source uses a beautiful metaphor to illustrate this point.
Okay.
It compares the journey of self-discipline to a river flowing towards the ocean. There will be rocks and obstacles along the way,
Right.
but the water always finds a way to flow around them, eventually reaching its destination.
I love that image.
Yeah.
It reminds us that persistence and adaptability are just as important as willpower and determination.
Absolutely.
And it highlights the power of trusting the process. Just as the river doesn't give up when it encounters an obstacle,
Right.
we don't have to abandon our journey when we face challenges.
Right.
We can trust that with patience and perseverance, we'll eventually reach our goals. This has been such a rich and nuanced exploration of self-discipline.
It has.
It's gone far beyond the typical advice of like setting goals and sticking to a plan. It's about cultivating a deep understanding of ourselves,
Yeah.
embracing our imperfections,
Right.
and choosing to show up for ourselves every step of the way, even when it's hard.
I think this source offers a truly inspiring perspective on what it means to live a disciplined life.
Yeah.
It's not about striving for an idealized version of ourselves.
Right.
It's about embracing the messy, imperfect, and ultimately beautiful journey of becoming who we're meant to be.
It's about making choices that align with our deepest values and aspirations,
Yes.
even when those choices require effort, sacrifice, and the willingness to face discomfort.
And it's about trusting that the pain of discipline, however challenging it may feel in the moment, ultimately pales in comparison to the pain of regret we might experience if we choose to stay stuck in our comfort zones.
This deep dive has given us so much to ponder and apply in our own lives.
And as always, the beauty of this source material is that it encourages each listener to find their own unique path
Yeah.
to self-discovery and fulfillment.
So as we wrap up this exploration of self-discipline,
Yep.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What pain will you choose? The discomfort of growth or the sting of regret?
The journey is yours to create.
That's right.
Until next time, keep diving deep.